Look at the back of your hand. You see skin, lines, maybe a freckle or two. It seems like a perfect, continuous image, doesn't it? But here's the uncomfortable truth. There's a hole in your visual field right now that's roughly the size of 20 full moons in the night sky. And your brain is secretly filling in the blanks without your permission. This isn't a defect. It's a feature. And it reveals something profound about how your brain constructs the reality you think you're seeing. In 1654, French mathematician Edmé Mariotte made a discovery that would embarrass anyone who ever trusted their eyes. While studying the anatomy of the human eye, he realized something peculiar about the spot where the optic nerve connects to the retina. Unlike the rest of the retina, which is packed with light-detecting cells, this spot has none. No rods, no cones, nothing to detect light. It's a literal blind spot in every human eye, creating a gap that could fit roughly 20 full moons lined up in a row, yet you've never noticed it. Here's where it gets weird. Close your left eye and look at something with your right eye. There's a patch of visual space about 15 degrees to the right of your focus point where you physically cannot see anything, but you don't experience a black hole. You don't experience a missing patch, you experience smooth, continuous vision. Your brain is literally making up what's there, seamlessly editing reality in real time. Try this experiment right now. Hold your thumb up at arm's length. Close your left eye and focus intensely on your thumbnail with your right eye. Now slowly move your thumb to the right while keeping your eye locked on that original spot. At some point, around 6 to 8 inches to the right, your thumbnail will simply vanish. Your brain fills in the empty space with whatever background is behind your thumb, as if your thumb was never there. Move it further, and your thumb pops back into existence. You just found your blind spot. But here's the question that should keep you up at night. If your brain is filling in this gap without telling you, what else is it fabricating? Your brain isn't a camera recording reality. It's more like a director editing footage, making cuts, adding effects, and sometimes inventing scenes that never happened. Consider this: your eyes constantly make tiny jittering motions called saccades. You make about 3 of these every second, roughly 200,000 times per day. During each saccade, you are effectively blind. If you added up all those blind moments, you'd find that you spend roughly 40 minutes every day completely blind, with your brain stitching together the stable bits into what feels like continuous vision. The implications of this stitching became famously clear in 1996 when psychologists Daniel Simons and Christopher Chabris conducted the invisible gorilla experiment. They showed people a video of 2 teams passing basketballs, asking viewers to count the passes made by one team. Halfway through, a person in a full gorilla suit walked through the scene, stopped, thumped their chest, and walked off. The gorilla was visible for 9 full seconds. About half the viewers never saw it. Their brains literally filtered out a gorilla standing right in front of them because they were focused on counting passes. This is called inattentional blindness, and it's a feature, not a bug. Your brain receives about 11 million bits of sensory information every second. But your conscious mind can only process about 50 bits per second. If your brain didn't aggressively filter and fill in gaps, you'd be overwhelmed instantly, drowning in sensory noise. Your peripheral vision is another perfect example of this filtering. It's mostly colorblind and extremely low resolution. The cone cells that give you sharp, colorful vision are packed densely only in the fovea, a tiny region covering less than 2% of your retina. Yet your entire visual field appears colorful and detailed because your brain fills in colors based on expectation and context. You've probably experienced this when you thought you saw something in your peripheral vision, perhaps a person, but when you turned to look, it was a coat rack or a shadow. Your brain was guessing, and it guessed wrong. Neuroscientists have found something extraordinary about the blind spot using brain imaging. Neurons in your visual cortex will actually fire in patterns corresponding to the filled-in content even when there's no actual stimulus coming from that location. Your brain is generating perception from scratch based purely on surrounding context and expectation. Does this matter for your daily life? Absolutely. Think about memory. If your brain fills in visual gaps in real time, what's it doing with your memories? Every time you recall something, you're not playing back a recording, you're reconstructing it from fragments. Each reconstruction introduces small errors that compound over time. Research by psychologist Elizabeth Loftus has shown that memories can be deliberately altered simply by asking leading questions. People have been convinced they committed crimes that never happened, complete with vivid details their brains invented. Or consider your sense of self, that feeling of being a continuous, stable person moving through time, that's also a construction. Neuroscientists have found that there's no single location in the brain where you reside. Your brain integrates scattered neural activity into what feels like a unified you, but that unity is another useful illusion. Here's something unsettling. People with damage to their visual cortex sometimes develop Anton syndrome. They become completely blind but refuse to believe it. They'll confidently describe objects that aren't there, inventing elaborate visual details about rooms they cannot see. Their brain is so committed to constructing reality that it keeps constructing even with no input whatsoever. So what's the counterintuitive truth most people miss? The fact that your brain lies to you isn't a reason for despair, it's the reason you can function at all. A brain that showed you raw, unfiltered reality would leave you paralyzed by noise. The lies, the blind spot filling, the inattentional blindness, the edited memories, these aren't flaws. They're the interfaces that make it possible to navigate the world, make decisions, and stay alive. You've never experienced reality directly. Not once in your entire life. You've only experienced your brain's model of reality, optimized over millions of years for survival, not truth. So, the next time you're absolutely certain about something you saw, remember your blind spot. Remember that right now, there's a gap in your visual field large enough to hold 20 moons, and your brain is secretly filling it in. Ask yourself, what else might my brain be filling in? What assumptions am I treating as facts? The illusion that proves your brain lies isn't a reason to stop trusting your senses entirely, but it's a reason to hold your certainty more loosely. Your brain creates a seamless world from fragmented input and presents it as unfiltered truth. That's not a bug. It's the miracle of perception. But it comes with responsibility. The responsibility to recognize that certainty is often just a feeling your brain generates for efficiency, not a guarantee of truth. The most honest thing you can say about your experience of reality is that it works, not that it's accurate. Can you trust your eyes? No, not entirely. But you can trust that your brain is doing exactly what it evolved to do, constructing a world that makes sense, keeping you functional and alive, one useful lie at a time. And maybe that's enough.